Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for coming this afternoon. I did not expect to address you from a wheelchair, but a couple weeks ago I was chased by a dog. I fell off the curb and I busted my right kneecap and my left wrist. So I've never had to be in a wheelchair before until this event. So I can honestly say that we are living in an era where normalcy is challenged. And we live in a world where many things don't seem to be normal. We find that up is down and down is up, and what used to be right is now wrong, and what used to be wrong is now an acceptable right. So I can tell you from experience that unexpected downturns can happen at any time. And when they do occur, we often go to a greater power for answers, guidance, and healing. And God plays a very direct role in the life of my title character in my novel, Michael's Reward. This is an action-driven spiritual drama. And in this story, I detail a spiritual war going on in one man's life. Michael is always attentive to God, and has always been since he was a young boy. But now that he is in his early 40s, he's very successful. He has 3 kids, a loving wife, a big, beautiful home, and he has he enjoys many luxuries that most of us don't. Until one day when Satan goes to God and challenges Michael's faith. Satan is convinced that Michael loves the gifts more than the giver of the gifts. And that if he were to take away Michael's abundant lifestyle, that he would curse God within a week of his woes. But God, trusting his own faith in Michael, doesn't believe Satan. Yet he allows Satan to, quote, take everything he has but his life. Does this story sound familiar to you? What I did was I took the old classic story of Job, and who lived 4,000 years ago, and I recreated it, beat for beat, in modern-day Santa Barbara, Montecito to be exact. And from this arena of opulence and wealth, Michael is yanked out of his life as he knows it and is forced to suffer through his own personal apocalypse. Being the evil genius that Satan is, he causes Michael's 3 kids to be killed in a car accident, and then proceeds to manipulate his boss to get him fired. Then Satan proceeds to destroy his beautiful home and everything in it. And then Satan attacks his wife by instilling so much fear in her that she leaves him, and with the help of a lawyer, leaves him penniless until their divorce is finalized. In this story, we explore topics such as homelessness, forgiveness, compassion, and faith. Michael's homelessness gave him the power to cut the chains to his materialism. His begging gives him a deeper understanding of what it means to give. And just because he begs to survive doesn't mean that he should stop giving to others who beg. After months and months and months of living in this misery that's born in hell, Michael is so confident in his love for the Almighty that he claims, quote, not even you, O Lord, can break my faith. Well, this gets God's attention, and he summons Satan. And he chastises Satan for belittling the love a man can have for God. And to respond to Michael's many unanswered prayers, God appears to him as a spinning cloud, and he speaks to him. And he speaks to Michael of promises to elevate him from a child of God to a man of God, and to deliver him more abundance than he ever had before. Instantly, Michael is healed and begins his journey, return to the life he once knew. Before his life is over, he will have given away over $100 million to charities around the world. And though Michael lives to be just a little over 100 years old, God never once put him in a position where he had to bury a child, a grandchild, or a great-grandchild. He is blessed, as are we all when we have faith. So I would encourage you to have faith in these rather abnormal times. Thank you. Have any questions?
So does it read sort of like a thriller? It sounds like he's going through all these tests and trials and tribulations. I mean, is he clued in that he's part of the experiment, or is he just clueless and is like, what the heck is happening to me?
Well, initially he's clueless.
Uh-huh.
And because of the sequence of just non-ending crisis, he gets clued in. He feels that he's a pawn in a greater game of chess. And so at that point he says, you know what, I'll play along. You want me to do this? So you want me to go through this? I'll go through this. If all you want to give me, God, is air, sunlight, and just enough substance to keep me alive, then that's fine. If that's all you're going to give me, that's all I'll take. So he internally battles all those questions that you ask. But,
Oh, actually, what inspired you to write this?
It's okay.
It's okay.
It just came to me one day driving down the Hollywood freeway, like a light bulb went off, and I thought, wouldn't it be a great story to take the Old Testament, old classic story of Job and just make it as if it happened today? And that's what propelled me to. And living in these very suspicious, abnormal times, I think the timing of it is more pertinent now than when I had this idea many years ago.
So where's the book?
Oh, the book is here.
Do you have it right there?
Yes. Oh, let me read you my favorite paragraph. It's about 3 sentences long, and this is when he's in the middle of suffering. He's been by himself for months. Days of merely surviving passed into one another. Where was God? Where did God go? Where was he? I asked myself. For days I went looking and searching for God, and I found him right where I left him last, everywhere. That's my favorite line. It really encapsulates that he was able to go find God everywhere he went and in whomever he was with.
I have a question. How does this address the homelessness of today? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, Michael felt, as he was falling into homelessness because he went into a homeless shelter, but his boils were accidentally exposed to another resident, and they kicked him out of the shelter, so he had to live amongst the shrub. And he understands that there's a temporary, he just felt like this wasn't going to last forever. He always had hope that he was going to come out of this. And so in his homelessness, he understood the lack of satisfaction in the material world. His perception of things just had to change. And actually, I had sat down and I wrote what would Michael write if he could just sit down and write a few sentences about him? And I wrote just a couple sentences. The following disasters, catastrophes, divorce, and basic hell on earth would force me to survive under a tarp by the side of the freeway. My relationship with God went into turbo drive. He taught me about being compassionate even when I had to beg for a meal. He taught me about finding him wherever I went and in whomever I was with. He showed me that he is so close that he even knows what's going on inside my head. He taught me that he could take everything I had, but then I showed him that he could not take away my faith. And when he was tired of testing my faith, he paid me a visit and radically elevated our relationship to the next level. And above all else, he taught me about the power of love and that God is my only soulmate. So he really elevated his love and his sense of connection to God and everything that was around him. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Stay here for a
Thank
second.
you for coming.
Thank you.